Hello and welcome to another edition of Andy's Shed Live. This time it is Series 7 episode number 23 for Sunday the 5th of July 2020. And we've come on and I'm just having trouble with my phone with getting the chat up on my phone at the moment. So what we are going to do is try and do a reboot. So hopefully I'll get into the chat in a couple of moments on my phone. But a fairly short show today, but a bit of a different show. We're not generally talking telephones today, just got a little bit of telephone talk to do, but not generally about telephones today. More about the thing you can hear whirring and whizzing over my shoulder there. But I'll tell you more about that in a second. Just before that though, do a little bit of housekeeping and time to tell you that if you want to get in touch with us here at the show, you can leave a comment below whether you are watching us on either YouTube or on Library, on the LBOY platform, on Library TV or library.com. So you can leave a comment, or if you want to, a more reliable way of getting in touch with us, because sometimes I miss the comments, a more reliable way is going here and filling in the contact form on our website at andyshed.colepress.net. That's andyshed.colepress.net. And if you go there, you'll find lots of back episodes and videos and articles about stuff we've done. And as I say, also the contact form on there as well to get in touch with us. So if you want to ask us any telephone questions or any questions relating to anything else, you can do by going to andyshed.colepress.net. Okay, right, my phone is rebooting. Let's see if it will now open up YouTube. Not playing ball. It's really not having it. That isn't today. I wonder what's wrong with it. No. Right, just bear with me one second, because otherwise I can't see the chat, you see. And it won't force stop either. There's something not entirely right going on with my phone at the moment, and I don't know what it is. Right, let's see if I can get into YouTube a different way. YouTube seems to be having issues with its servers and that a lot recently, and I don't know if there's if there are some general problems with YouTube and Google. Yeah, server not found. Yes. Things are not good in the mobile internet world at the moment. Seems to be the problem is the mobile data on my phone. Right, let's have a little look, see what I can do. Just bear with me a second. I'll be right back, as they say. It's having loads and loads of bother with it. Just loads and loads of bother. try again. If it was the 4G network playing up, and yeah, it looks like it was. I've switched the 4G off on my phone and gone to like 3G and 2G, and now it's working, it would seem. I go to my own channel now, and there we are, you see, and it says we're live, and indeed we are. So there we go, and there's 7 of you watching us so far. So who have we got here? Christopher 2000 is here. Hi Christopher. We've got Paul Nolan here. We've got Jimmy. Hello Jimmy. They're the ones who are telling me. Paul said GPO telephones are far more reliable. Yeah, they are. You're dead right. This one's a BlackBerry. These are supposed to be reliable, but yeah, the trouble with Blackberries. Now, Blackberries used to be really good. I've had Blackberries for years, and they used to be really good until they went Android, and now they're on the Android operating system, and since they started running Android, they're nowhere near as good, nowhere near as reliable as they used to be since they've started running Android. Right. Oh, Claus is here as well. Evening, Claus. No, we've got a good old selection of folk here today. Now, I've had an email as well from Michael Hogg during the week about last week. Now, you remember we had those 300 series chassis last week, and one of them got a strange bell in it. Well, Michael says, hi Andy, the unusual ringer mechanism on the 300 chassis at around 12 minutes 45 seconds into Series 7 episode 22, which was last week's show, is a DC trembler mechanism. It says there was only one gong fitted, and there's more information on it if you go to www.britishtelephones.com/T326.htm. I'll give you that again because I can't put it up in a caption. It's www.britishtelephones.com/T326.htm. And Michael sent us that link there, and it is indeed to a teller 326, which basically didn't get a ring from an outside line. It rang from another internal phone. So it might have been a phone that a boss would have on his office desk, and his secretary would always answer the phone and then ring through to him, and that's why it had that weird ringer in, which is a DC trembler ringer, which is just for internal calling sort of thing. So that's what that weird ringer was in that 300 series that we saw last week. So we've figured it out, that one then. We've figured out what it was. Hello. Yeah, are we running? Yeah. So I'm just making sure we're still going. Right, you're probably wondering what this thing is over my shoulder here. It is a 3D printer, because this week I took the plunge and went out and bought a 3D printer, and it's whirring away because it's printing some model railway stuff for a friend of mine, and I'm just blown away by how good the prints are from the 3D printer. Now he's into 009 scale or gauge railways, my friend. So I found out you could print out from Thingiverse.com. I found out you could print out a little coach body, which is one of these, and it's phenomenally good. It's really, really good, this little coach. If I get it under this other camera up here, if I possibly can, and do a transition there, and then we'll get it in focus, because that always helps, doesn't it? Alright. And this is where I never know which way to move it. But there is the 3D print. Now this has not been cleaned up, it does need a little bit of cleaning up. It says more or less that it came off the printer, but that side's a little bit cleaner. But look at the transition, look at the planks in the bottom half of that. The detail in it is amazing. So I printed that first of all, and then I thought no point just doing the body, so I then did the chassis for it as well. And this is the chassis with the seats in, and again there's a little bit of what they call stringing on it that I need to clean off, but I've been doing these the past couple of days over the weekend, you see. But there you go, there is the chassis ready for a set of Graham Farish wheels when they arrive in the post. But that's the chassis for it, which I've modified. I've modified that chassis a bit, and then you put the whole thing together, and that's what you get. That's the little coach that you get when you put the whole thing together with the seats in. So then I thought, right, this is quite good, I thought, but we ought to be able to do more with this. So I got on tinkercad.com, where you could alter designs for 3D printers, and I made a little open one, a semi-open. Right, which way am I going? That way. So you see, look, with the fancy bit of frill around the tops, that's an open one, it doesn't have windows in. So that's what I've been up to over the weekend, and I'm just gobsmacked by the quality of these prints. It's just amazing how good the print quality is of these things. You know, they are absolutely phenomenally good. Right. So there they are, all on the desk. Excuse me, got the sneezers now. So yeah, so that's what we've been up to, basically this week. And the printer is whirring away. At the moment it is doing the body for one of these open coaches at the moment. And if you want to have a look at what it's doing, I will try and grab this other camera. This is where it can all go terribly wrong if I'm not careful. And well, how close can I get with it? That's the question. How near can I get? But there it is, doing its thing. Now this printer is what they call a Creality Ender 3. It's not a 3 Plus, it's not an Ender 5. It's basically the bog standard cheapest one in the range at the moment, and it's phenomenally good. Now it doesn't come like this high piece, this tall piece on it. Basically you have to assemble it when you get it, so there is some assembly involved, and it comes with a sheet of imagery to assemble it, sort of pictograms, but it's relatively straightforward, but you do have to think about it a bit. It took me a good hour or more. I'd say allow a couple of hours to assemble it. But as you can see there, it's printing out a coach. It's just started. It prints like a flat raft, what they call a raft to start with, and then it's printing the coach in 2 pieces there. You'll see on top of the raft, you'll see there's 2 pieces starting to form, On the left is the roof section, which it looks like it's done. And on the right is where the coach will start to grow upwards. And then you just break them off the raft. They're relatively easy to break off the raft. And then assemble the coach out of bits. And here it is. Here is the coach that it makes, and this one's in 3 pieces. The others, these ones are just in 2 pieces. The body is printed as a whole, but you have to have lots of what they call support inside it, which you have to clean out. So the coach is like full of zigzags of rubbish that you have to clean out when you do it that way, because that's to support the roof when the roof is being printed. So if you print the roof separately, you don't have to have all that support inside the coach. So this version of it, I've done in 3 pieces: chassis, body, and then also, if I can hold this camera steady, the roof that goes on somehow like that. And there you have it. So that's how this 3D printer works. So I'm going to be doing more things with this over the next few weeks. So stay tuned for more on 3D printing, and I'm going to be selling some of these little coaches in kit form. So if anybody's into 009 railways, we're going to be selling some of these quite cheaply. I think they're going to be about 5 or 6 quid a coach or something like that. But watch this space for that. I've not got geared up for it just yet. Right, I will put my camera back now. This is a little camera that we use here. It's a little webcam with lights on it, that normally shows you the picture of the desk, of what's on the desk. But tonight it's doing different things. Right. Just bear with me a minute. It's not very professional today, are we? It's all sort of out of place a bit today. Hang on. That's sort of the shot we normally have, isn't it? There, that's it. We're back to normal now. Got the cameras back in place. So yeah, so that's what we've been doing today. We've been 3D printing. Paul's on. He says, how did you get into the world of telephone restoration, Andy? Were you a GPO engineer? No. It's a simple answer. No, what I actually did, Paul, was, I'm a great one for going to car boot sales. Well, we have them, although they have started again now. I'm a great one for going to car boot sales, and I went to a car boot sale in Chesterfield, which was my local town. 4 years ago, 5 years ago perhaps, and at the car boot sale, I like buying old stuff. I buy things like oil lamps and stuff like that when I see them on car boot sales, you know, anything old like that. And I saw this old telephone on the car boot sale, and so I thought, that's rather good. I could perhaps restore that. So I bought this old telephone. It was a 746, a yellow 746, a topaz yellow one, and restored it, got it going. Looked online on how to get it going, and then looked more into it and bought more. And the thing is, what they don't tell you about telephones, when you get 2 of them, they breed. So I think last count I got about 200 of them. I have sold a few through a local antique centre at one point. I did sell some through the old antique centre. at one stage, but I had to give up the space in the antique centre because basically the rent was too much. You couldn't even cover your costs doing it because of the amount of rent that these antique centres charge. So now I just do it as a hobby sort of thing. I do still do the occasional one for people. Sometimes people send me one that they want doing, so I do still do the occasional paid one for people who want restoring, but I don't do it very often. If anybody does want one restoring, of course, get in touch with me. andyshed.corepress.net is the place to do it. So yeah, so I wasn't a GPO engineer at all, Paul. It wasn't anything like that. I just learnt it in recent times, sort of thing. So no, I wasn't an engineer. Seems to be a lot of lag on YouTube today. If I'm not responding to stuff that you're putting in the chat very quickly, if I'm not responding very quickly, it's because there's an awful lot of lag on YouTube today. Do you still have your first 746? Jimmy asking this. Yeah, I do, somewhere. Thing is, it's now been joined by some other yellow 746s, and I don't know which is which. Because I've got 2 or 3 now. But yeah, so I'm not sure which is which about the yellow 746s, but I do still have it. I'm just not sure which one it is. Paul says you learnt all of that from scratch, including the PABX exchange. Yes, I did. Yeah, I had a manual for the PABX. The little thing that we use here is a thing called a Revelation, a BT Revelation. There are other ones that people have as well, but this one's a Revelation that's in daily service here, and I was lucky enough that I managed to get like a manual for it with all the codes in. And not only did I get the manual that they normally give to the people that like own the office where the thing is installed, I got the installer's manual as well, with special little codes in for setting it up and stuff. Yeah, I was quite lucky, but there was quite a bit of trial and error involved in setting that up, because I've not got it all set up at the minute. But when I have got it all set up, we've got it set up for both CNET and a normal POTS line coming in, plain old telephone service line. So there's normally 2 CNET lines coming in and 1 ordinary telephone line that all go through the Revelation and all ring all the phones all over the house, sort of thing. So it's chaos. Jimmy says your show is the highlight of my week. You must have very dull weeks then, Jimmy, that's all I can say. Paul says I still have my first phone, which cost £5. It's a black 300 that was sprayed gold. Still my favourite and fully original. I wonder if that was an original gold one. Ah, that's interesting. Do you think that was an original gold one, Paul? Because apparently there were some gold ones. Now I'm dredging this back out the back of my mind from somewhere, but I believe there was a hotel or something somewhere. Somebody will probably be able to confirm or deny this. That had gold telephones in every room, and they were 300s. And I wonder if that was it. You see, when you wanted a coloured 300, it was quite difficult to do, because Bakelite came in dark, dull colours, blacks and browns and things. When you wanted them in the brighter colours, they had to use different kinds of plastic, and it was in the early days of plastics. Plastic manufacture wasn't as refined as it is now. So they managed to do red, and they managed to do green, and they managed to do ivory. But if you wanted anything a bit odd, like a gold one or anything, what they used to do was quite simply paint a black one. and that's not normally done in this country, painting phones, you know, never done with 700 series. You get a 700 series that's been painted, it's definitely somebody who's done it. The GPO will never have painted the 700 series. But in the States it's quite common. The Bell system, they often got phones back in for refurbishment and painted them a completely different colour and sent them out painted. So painted phones in the States is common, not so common in this country, but I think there was a hotel that did it. Do I still sell one or two phones, said Jimmy. I do occasionally, yeah, basically, I do occasionally. Why? Are you wanting one? Yeah, I do still sell the odd one. The difficult thing about it is putting them in the post or something like that, because they very often get damaged in the post, particularly on the couriers. I'm looking at you, Hermes. So they do often get damaged in the post, so that's why I don't do it as a regular thing. Yeah, but I do still sell the occasional restored one. I prefer it these days if people find the phone themselves in whatever beaten up condition it is, and then I restore it, because there are plenty of people out there selling restored phones, and there's tons of them. So yeah, there's lots of restored phones out there that you can buy, lots of unrestored ones that you can buy, but not many people restoring them to order. You know, if you got like your granddad's phone that's been in the attic for years and a bit of it's broke, a bit of the plastic case is broke or something like that, I do the restoration of the plastic and restore your phone. So I do that more than actual selling phones these days. Paul says about the gold phones, he says sadly the only gold sprayed ones were early 200s, he thinks. This one had a player's cigarette card in the dial centre. I have a few Diakon colour 200s and 300s, including a World War II scrambler. Yeah, they were Diakon, and of course Diakon breaks very easily, so you're doing well. If they're in one piece, you're doing well. Now, I have been on here before and restored ABS, and I have a way of welding ABS together and restoring it and doing a completely hidden restoration. I have been reading stuff that there may be a way of doing it with Diakon as well, which is basically Perspex Diakon. It's a trade name. So watch this space, because if I can restore Diakon phones, then that would be amazing. Christopher says, do I still want to do a telephone swap? Yes, you emailed me, didn't you, Chris, about this? Yes, I do. I just need to get to the post office and that, and work out if we can actually physically do it at a reasonable cost, because you're Australia, aren't you? So yeah, I do want to do that swap that you're on about in the email. Yes, I do. I've just not got round to going to the post office and getting it sorted. Other Jimmy, we've got two Jimmys here tonight, says he's got 4 telephones during the last 2 weeks, 2 smashed, courtesy of Hermes. Told you it's Hermes that do it. A wall phone and a Mark 1 Grey 746. Alright, those smashed ones, Jimmy, have you got the bits? If you've got all the bits, if you pick them all out of the packaging, all the bits, it's relatively easy to restore. It's a lot easier if you've got all the bits. It can be done even if you've not got the bits. It's easier if you have got the bits, but they can certainly be restored, because I do it all the time. Christopher says, are you going to show my pictures of my phones tonight? Right, I'll try and do it if I can find them on this computer, because I'm using a different system to what I normally do. So let's have a little look for these photos. I've got to find them. If I can find them, I'll show them. So, talk amongst yourselves a minute. It's one of those days today with this computer. Paul says he's used my repair method for ABS. Once he's got a hang of it, it works well. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Paul. It does work, doesn't it? Works better on some colours than on others as well, I've found. Works quite well on grey ones, but if your grey phones turn brown, then you have to end up colour restoring the whole of the phone, because the bit that you've done has been colour restored, because you like wipe the surface discoloration off it. Other Jimmy says it would be amazing repairing Diakon cases. It would. It definitely would be amazing repairing the Diakon cases. I would be very impressed if I can figure out a way of doing that. Right, I'm looking now for these. For these phones. Right, so we've got right. I'm finding your phones out now, Chris, and they'll be on in just a moment, I hope. Now, I've got to figure out a way of doing this. Right, this may go a little bit strange for a moment, just bear with me. Right, how do we do this? Right, that should do it. Right, if I now right, we're just getting there. Right, so one is hoping this is going to work. Just bear with me 1 second. Right, I think we've done it, Chris. Right, I think that's one of your phones, isn't it? Blooming hope it is, in case not. Yeah, now this is the This is the waterproof phone, isn't it? And we thought it was like a UK one, but the handset is different. The handset is not a UK handset on it, which has surprised me. And looking at it, looking at the outside of it as well, the outside of it is also different. The outside of the case, so that is definitely not like the ones we have in the UK. The ones we have in the UK, the corners of the case are more rounded than that. Right, if you just bear with me 1 second, we will be right back in a minute. I've just got to disappear for a second. I will be back. Do not go anywhere. Hello, sorry about that. We had a few technical problems there. All sorts of going on around here at the minute. It's absolutely mad it is. So what were we doing? We were looking at these phones, weren't we, of Chris's? So that's his what would you want to call that, Chris? It's off the railways, isn't it? It's a signal phone off the railways, that one. I think you said off the Australian railways. And we have very similar ones in this country, but not quite the same. Similar idea, but different design. So I'm guessing a different manufacturer is what we have here. And there's the handset of it, and you can see it's not shaped like a UK handset at all. So I'm really not sure what that is. And there's a couple of UK type phones. There's a 746, an early 746 with the slopey top to the case on the left there, and on the right that looks like it's probably an Ericsson clone of a 706 with the metal finger wheel on it. Interestingly though, there's something weird going on there, because it's a metal finger wheel on a dial 21, and you can tell it's a dial 21 by the shape of the finger stop. Now dial 21s don't normally have those metal finger wheels. I bet that's very shallow to put your fingers in, isn't it, Chris? That I bet that's very shallow to try and dial on it, on that brown one, on that grey one rather, and that's because it's got a metal finger wheel designed for a dial 12 on a dial 21 dial. If that was a dial 12 dial, the whole dial, not just the finger wheel, it's got a raised bit in the middle to hold the finger wheel off the back plate, so you would actually be able to put your fingers in it more than you can at the minute. So that's a bit of a marriage, but that should probably have a dial 12 in it rather than a dial 21, I think. And there's a 200 series there, it looks like, sat on top of the bell set, or well, the bell set alongside rather, but it could be put on top of that bell set. That's quite a nice example. I've got a couple of those, very similar condition to that. Now that looks like a dial 12 in that one. Look at the different shape of the finger stop on that to the shape of the finger stop on that, and you can see what I mean as the difference. And there's the collection in general. Wow, that is quite a good collection. That is quite a lot of Bakelite there as well. I'm quite impressed with that. An American 500 series down the front that I can see. Yeah, quite a lot of Australian phones, what were sort of contemporary to our 700 series here in the UK, but were the Australian variant of it, sort of thing, or around at the same time kind of thing. The candlestick, that's a relatively modern candlestick. That's a repro candlestick. You can see by the plastic curly cord on it. But yeah, that's a pretty good collection, that is. And then there's that, and again I'm not entirely sure what that is. Is that a thing? Is that an Australian creation? That looks like it might be. But that's quite a neat design, that. I quite like that. I imagine the thing the handset hooks onto though, I imagine they get broken, because that looks like it's fairly flimsy plastic. And we're back to the beginning again. So that is that is Chris's phones there, all the way over in Australia. Right, it's almost time to go and wrap it up for another week. I said it was going to be a short show this week. It's got a bit longer than it was supposed to be because of that enforced break in the middle. I'll just catch up with the chat. Jimmy says, I've still got the broken bits from the telephone cases. I will put them back together again using acetone. Guess where I learned that from, Andy? Good man. Yeah. The only thing to do, Jimmy, when you're putting them back together using the acetone, make sure the edges are clean before you acetone them. You've got to get any dirt or anything off the edges. You know, make sure they're totally clean on the edges before you use the acetone. Paul says, I've got the same GEC candlestick phone with a rayon cord, all in chrome. Yeah, I think that one that Chris has got is a reproduction though. It just doesn't look old, that one. Chris says Australia PMG war phone and it's hardwired. So excellent work. Excellent work. But yeah, that's quite a nice phone. That we don't see those over here. We see something similar occasionally, but not the same. I think you'll find it's probably made by Ericsson or somebody, that war phone, and we get something similar to it, but not identical to it. That's the thing I'm talking about. Yeah, that's a kind of more modern version of the one that I see over here. I see a sort of Bakelite era version of that from time to time that I think was provided on private systems. Paul says those candlesticks are from the 1980s. Were GEC still around making candlesticks in the 1980s? Yeah, I suppose they probably were, weren't they? The GEC probably was still GEC in the 1980s. It's one of those companies that's come and gone, GEC. It's got swallowed up by other things, and then the names come back, and it's swallowed other things up itself as well. It's quite a complicated history, GEC and Plessey and Ericsson. Those three companies are really complicated histories if you go right back. Chris says the wall phone is from 1978. Yeah, it looks sort of 70s. It looks very trim phony. I'm going by that sort of smoky plastic handset rest thing. Yeah, you know, at the top there. You know, that's very reminiscent of a trim phone to me. That is. So yeah, it definitely looks the part, that one. I like that. I'll have to see if I can find one of those somewhere. Right, so that does about wrap it up for now. The printer behind me, just as I've said that, has just finished. It has just finished printing this this coach, just as I've said it. So we'll get it off there, and if you can see that, there it is. You see the coach, it's got no windows because it's got little bits you knock out for the gaps, because remember it's a windowless one. It's a semi-open, but to print the top bit you have to print something below it, so it's got little sort of disposable pieces that you knock out. But that's how it comes off the printer, and then when it's come off the printer like that, like it is there, you have to get a thing like a wallpaper scraper, one of these, and you have to sort of get that under the edge of it, under the edge of the raft, like so. And the raft comes off. That one's come off quite easy compared to what some do, and there we have it. Hello, what's happening? We're down there. there we have it. There is the coach off there, and I can now put this back in the printer, ready to set it going again for next time. So that really is all we've got time for today. Klaus says he loves the 3D printer, he might get one. Yeah, do it, get one. It's the best 160 quid plus VAT you'll ever spend. But maybe don't get one for a week or so, because I might get an affiliate link next week for the 3D printers. Chris 2000 says you can choose what phone you want in the collection picture. Oh right. Oh right. Oh where? What's that? The picture, the big picture with all of them on. Is it that picture? Is it where are we now? I'm going through the pictures. Are we? Are we talking about that picture, Chris? And choose which one you want in that picture. Right. Right. I'll have a think about that one this week. I'll get back to you. I shall email you this week, and we'll get something going. I'll get to the post office first and just make sure I can actually send phones to Australia, because sometimes there's strange rules in the UK of what you can and cannot send abroad. You know, things with batteries in you often can't send and stuff like that. I know there's no batteries in the phone, but there are capacitors and stuff like that, so I just need to check that out. Right, that about wraps it up for another week. A big thank you to everybody for watching. Remember, if you want to support the channel, you can by finding us on Patreon. We are here, patreon.com/Andy's Shed. And we will be back around about the same time, same place next week, all being well. But from all of us here for now, thanks to everybody who has been out there in the chat, and well, I shall continue my 3D printing. So until next week, bye for now.